Hello, my name's Julian Edgar and I'm the author of this book, Designing and Building a New Energy Efficient Home. What I want to cover in today's video is why passive solar homes need to have orientation in a particular direction. Why orientation is important. Let's take a look. So you want to build a new energy efficient, comfortable and healthy home in Southern Australia? That's an absolutely fantastic objective, but orientation is one of the key aspects to get right. And while it's a really simple idea, a lot of people initially find it confusing. So orientation, what is it? It refers to the directions that most of the windows face. It doesn't mean where the front door is. So when people talk about the direction a house faces, they're often referring to where the front door is. They'll say, oh, the house faces the street because that's where the front door is. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about which face of the house, which wall of the house has the most windows and which direction do those windows face. All right, so there's that key difference. So in Southern Australia, we want the house to be orientated north. We want the face of the house with most windows to look towards north. And if we have a look at this diagram here, I'll just find my mouse, there it is. We can see that there's north that way, so going towards the left. And here are all the solar panels on the roof. They have to face north as well. And here we can see there's plenty of windows that face north. Now this particular diagram doesn't seem to have windows on any other faces at all. You're allowed to, but here most windows face north and that's what we want. And as a little artistic embellishment, they've also put a clothesline on the north. So most windows facing north. So can that actually be achieved? Yes, it can. It can be achieved on almost any block, but some blocks are obviously better than others. So this diagram is taken from the Australian government site Your Home. Your Home is an absolutely fantastic site if you're interested in building energy efficient homes in Australia. It's available as a website. It's also available as a printed book, and it's absolutely compulsory reading along with my book if you're interested in this area. So let's have a look at this diagram. The street is in the middle of the diagram. So here, these houses up here, it's the back of the house, if you like, that needs to face north to have the most window area. Now, you want the face of the house to be fairly big. You want those windows to be big. So these houses can't have really big windows on the north. There isn't simply the room. And the same down here. These windows here and here and here will face north, but again, the area of those windows can't be very big. But you can see the blocks here and the blocks here can have a lot of window area facing north. So you pick your block with care. And one of the crazy things about real estate in Australia, looking at empty blocks, is the blocks that can have a good northerly aspect, can have a good northerly orientation of the house, actually cost no more than any other blocks because not enough people realise the importance of what I'm describing. Of course, if you're building on acreage or a big area of land, you can face the house whichever way you want. You can have it orientated whichever way you want. You have enormous flexibility. So picking the right block is important, but you can pretty well get a northerly aspect to your house, a northerly orientation to your house on any block. But you might be thinking, well, that's all very nice, but why? Why is this orientation so important? Let's take a look at that. So what this diagram shows is it shows the sun's path in winter. Now we all know that the sun rises in the east and it sets in the west. You know, everyone knows that. But what happens between it rising and setting? Now, if you say, oh, it goes straight over the top of us, you're not correct except in summer. In winter, it actually stays in the northern part of the sky all day. Okay, and that's what this diagram shows. So here's your house facing north, orientated north. We can't see its windows because they're on the other side of the little diagram. Here's east. Here's the sun rising, and you can see it goes across to the north before it comes back down and sets obviously in the west. Now, to picture that, picture yourself in the middle of winter at midday and you point your arm at the sun. East is over there, west is over there. What you're going to do is your arm will not be vertical. Your arm will be lower than vertical when you point at the sun. And that's really, really important information to be aware of. The sun is in the northern sky in winter, and so any windows that face north, the sunshine can come into the house. So in winter, we can use those northerly windows to help warm the house with sunshine. So coming in through those windows for most of the day, those northern windows, will be natural light illuminating the inside of your house, will be natural warmth coming from the sunshine coming in, and there's that wonderful psychological and physiological aspects of sunshine just streaming into your house on cold winter days. Now, here in this photograph, you can see they've got a lot of windows on the northern side of the house. Some people will say, oh, you don't want that many windows. But if other aspects of the design of the house are correct, you do want a lot of windows on that northern face. Now, you might be saying, yeah, okay, in winter the sunshine will come in and warm the house when it's cold outside. But what happens in summer? Won't that be really, really awful? The answer is no. Because remember I talked about the sun being fairly low in the northern sky in winter. In summer, it's much higher above your head. It goes through the sky at a different angle, and that means we can easily shade the summer sun and stop it coming into our homes. So in summer, when we don't want that sunshine entering the house, we can use shading mechanisms to stop it. And the easiest shading mechanism to use is just an eave, an extension of the roof that overhangs the walls. You can see here the summer sun, which is higher in the sky, gets blocked. The sun can only shine down to there. It can't shine in through the window. But the winter sun, which is much lower in the sky, excuse me, the winter sun can come right into the house. Now, we'll talk about shading in another one of these videos, but the important point to realise is that with very simple shading mechanisms, those northerly windows can let the summer sun, stop the summer sun coming in, but let the winter sun come into your home. So what good does this do? Well, a massive amount of good. In most southern Australian cities, they get cold at night in winter. They get cold in winter and they require heating. Think of your own home. Do you have a reverse cycle heater? Do you have, if you live in the country, a wood fire? Do you use personal heaters like electric radiators or heating panels? Okay, if you do, you are heating your house in winter. But if you let the winter sunshine come in, that can provide easily more than half the heat required to keep a house comfortable. And in very well-designed passive solar homes, it can provide nearly all the heat. Free heating. And you have lovely sunshine and you have lovely light. So you can see that having a northerly aspect, having a northern orientation to a large number of windows in the house can transform the way the house actually operates. So good passive solar design requires good orientation, the direction that those windows face, and we want a lot of windows facing north, and I've ticked it because we've just covered that one. It also requires shading, and I touched on shading, didn't I, when I talked about the eaves stopping the summer sun coming in through those windows. It requires good ventilation, which we'll talk about in another video. It requires thermal mass. Now, thermal mass is the ability to store heat or cool within the house, within the insulated envelope of the house. And if you've been thinking about orientation and you've been thinking about that winter sunshine coming into the house, the ability to store that warmth becomes critical, doesn't it? Because at night you don't have that sunshine coming in, but if that warmth has been stored in the house, then it will be warm at night as well. You can see how all these things hang together. House layout, you can see how that is also relevant here. If we have our living areas on the north, they'll be nice and warm during those winter sunny days. Now, none of these things need to cost a thing. Compared to some approaches to energy efficient homes, where you pay for special ventilators, you pay for special sealing up of the house, you pay for super special windows, none of these need to cost anything at all over what you are already paying for your house. Passive solar, it's about good fundamental design, things like orientation, rather than sticking on all those technological band-aids that so many people try to do afterwards. The book's called Designing and Building a New Energy Efficient Home. You can see that on that cover image, that's a picture of our house. You can see all those windows across the front of the house, and they are all facing north. In fact, they're a little bit east of north. They're about 20 degrees east of north, so we could also get a view. Makes very little difference to what I have been talking about. Is the book available? No, not yet. It'll be out mid-2026. I'm waiting until I have 12 months of logged data for the house, electronically logged data, which includes temperature of the thermal mass, which is this thing storing that heat, includes carbon dioxide levels, CO2 levels inside the house, everything I can log, relative humidity, dew point, and so on. The book will be out mid-2026, but at this stage, just think about orientation as being an absolute key dimension in getting an energy efficient home without having to spend huge amounts of money. Thank you.